Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful souls, let me tell you something. This life, it's not a dress rehearsal. You don't get a second shot at today. And so I want to talk to you today about 5 life-changing lessons that turn my breakdowns into breakthroughs and my setbacks into setups for the comeback of a lifetime. So many of us walk through life dragging our past behind us like a suitcase that's too heavy, stuffed with shame, guilt, regret, and pain. And the thing about that suitcase, most of it doesn't even belong to us anymore. It's old stories, worn out beliefs, outdated definitions of who we are and what we're capable of. It's filled with voices from the past, voices that said you're not good enough, you'll never be anything, or who do you think you are to want more? But let me tell you something today. Let me whisper it to your soul until it echoes in every cell of your being. Your past is not your identity. It is not your destiny. It's not your title, your label, or your name tag. It's a chapter. That's it. A part of the story, not the whole story. It's a moment, a scene, a few paragraphs in the book of your life. And just because that chapter was messy, painful, or broken, doesn't mean the rest of the book can't be a masterpiece. You see, I know what it's like to live in the shadow of your past. I know what it's like to believe that your mistakes disqualify you from your dreams. I know what it's like to feel stuck, like you're in quicksand, with one foot in your future and the other chained to yesterday. But I also know the moment everything began to shift for me. It was the moment I decided to stop rereading that old chapter over and over again. The moment I said, a part of my story is done. It happened, but it does not get to define who I am today. So many of us live with this inner narrative. I messed up. I failed. Nate got it wrong. I missed my chance. But let me be clear. Mistakes don't make you a mistake. Failing doesn't make you a failure. And just because you took a detour doesn't mean you can't still arrive at your destination. In fact, the detour might be the very path that taught you strength, resilience, and compassion. The detour might have prepared you in a way the straight path never could. When you stop letting your past dictate your worth, you begin to see the truth. That your power was never in perfection. Your power is in your choice, the choice to heal, the choice to grow, the choice to turn the page. You are the author now, not your parents, not your teacher from 2nd grade, not the one who hurt you, left you, or told you that you weren't enough. You hold the pen. You hold the power to decide what comes next. And yes, maybe your past had pain. Maybe it had trauma. Maybe it had heartache that brought you to your knees. But look at you. You're still standing, you're still here. You made it through the fire and now you carry the strength of a survivor. Don't you ever forget that. You know, sometimes we forget that even the most beautiful stories have tension. Even the best books have plot twists. Every hero has a struggle. Every legend has a low point. That's what makes the story powerful. That's what makes the comeback inspiring. Your scars are not signs of weakness. They are proof of healing. Your past didn't break you. It built you. It carved wisdom into your soul. It deepened your compassion. It made you more human, more real, more relatable. And if you're willing, if you're bold enough to keep writing, then that past will one day become the very testimony that helps someone else rise. But first, you've got to make a decision. You've got to stop identifying with the old story. You've got to stop rehearsing it like it's still your truth. You've got to be willing to say, that's who I was, but it's not who I am now. There is a new version of you that's trying to be born. There is a greater version of you that's waiting on the other side of your willingness to release what was. And let me just say this. It's okay to feel scared when you start to let go of the past. It's okay if part of you wants to hold on because that old identity is familiar. Even if it was painful, it felt safe. But the magic, the growth, the transformation, that lives on the other side of letting go. That lives in the unknown. That lives in the blank pages you haven't written yet. So ask yourself today, what chapter are you ready to close? What old narrative are you ready to stop carrying? What would it look like if you wrote a new story, not based on your wounds, but on your worth? Not on your failures, but on your future. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's possible. And more than that, I'm saying it's necessary. Because you were not born to live in yesterday. You were born to shine today, to rise tomorrow, and to write a future that takes your breath away. So pick up your pen, take a breath, and turn the page. There comes a moment when you wake up, look around at your life, and realize you've just been getting by. You've been breathing, but you haven't been living. You've been moving, but not in the direction of your joy. And somewhere along the way, you started believing that survival was enough. That waking up, going through the motions, checking boxes and falling back into bed at night was what life was meant to be. But let me tell you something from my heart to yours. You were not born to just exist. You were born to expand. You were not created to simply push through. You were created to rise, to soar, to dance through life with passion and purpose. Survival is the default mode when you're in pain. Survival is what you do when your back's against the wall. And let me be clear, there is no shame in surviving. Some of the most powerful, brilliant people I know have had to crawl through seasons just to make it through. And maybe you're in that place now. Maybe you're holding on by a thread. Maybe you're tired of pretending to be strong. But surviving is not where your story ends. It's the bridge, not the destination. You didn't come this far just to live in okay. You didn't walk through fire just to sit in the ashes. You are not here to simply count the days. You are here to make the days count. There was a time in my life where I thought surviving was all I could do. I was a single mom with barely enough money to keep the lights on. I remember standing in the mirror and not recognizing the woman staring back at me. Tired, lost, scared. I had dreams buried so deep under my responsibilities, I wasn't even sure they were still alive. But in the quiet, in the stillness of my spirit, I heard a voice, a whisper, and it said, "This is not the end. You're allowed to want more." That whisper, that was the beginning of my shift from surviving to thriving. And hear me when I say this, you have permission to want more joy, more meaning, more laughter, more peace, more abundance, more alignment, more life in your life. You don't owe anyone an explanation for wanting to feel fully alive. Because let's be real, too many of us are walking around emotionally bankrupt. We're smiling on the outside and suffering in silence. We've learned how to numb ourselves so we don't feel the lows. But that also means we're not fully feeling the highs. We've gotten so good at it getting through the day that we've forgotten how to celebrate the day. Maybe, just maybe, no one ever told you that you were allowed to thrive. Maybe life knocked you down so many times you stopped reaching. But let me be the one to remind you, thriving is your birthright. Joy is not a luxury. It's a necessity. Fulfillment is not a fantasy. It's a calling. You were born for greatness, not mediocrity. Thriving doesn't mean everything is perfect. It doesn't mean there are no struggles. Thriving means you refuse to settle. Thriving means you choose to bring light even into dark moments. It means you chase purpose even when you're unsure of the path. It means you choose to love yourself, celebrate yourself, invest in yourself, even when the world forgets to. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you did something that made your soul light up? When was the last time you said yes to something that scared you just a little, but excited you a whole lot? When was the last time you looked in the mirror and said, "I'm proud of you"? Because that's what thriving looks like. It's waking up and choosing to be present, not just productive. It's slowing down enough to savor life, not just survive it. It's laughing until your belly hurts, dancing even when no one's watching, crying without shame, and loving without apology. It's saying, "I matter. My happiness matters. My dreams matter." And it's backing that belief with action. Not someday, not when it's convenient, not when everyone else approves, but now. And if that sounds far away for you right now, if you're in a season where joy feels like a stranger and thriving feels out of reach, then let me remind you, all it takes is one step, one small act of courage, one brave decision to choose something better. You don't have to leap into thriving. You just have to take the first step toward it. Maybe that step is asking for help. Maybe it's saying no to something that drains you. Maybe it's dusting off that dream you buried and daring to believe it's still possible. Whatever it is, start there. Don't let the world convince you that being burnt out is normal. Don't buy into the belief that staying small is safe. Don't live a life so busy surviving that you miss the miracle of being alive. You were made for joy, for passion, for fire. You were made to wake up with excitement in your belly and purpose in your soul. You were made to feel deeply, to dream boldly, to love fully, and to live loudly. So I'm inviting you to make a new decision. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Decide that you are done with just surviving. Decide that your life is worth living to the fullest. Decide that you don't just want to breathe, you want to come alive. Because the world doesn't just need people who can survive, the world needs people who are on fire. People who are lit up from the inside. People who are alive, awake, and unafraid to thrive. And that person is you. Let me know if you'd like this formatted for a video voiceover or clipped into social media content. Happy to tailor it for your platform. There's nothing more powerful, more liberating, and more necessary in this life than finding your voice and using it, especially when it trembles, especially when it's been silenced for too long. Your voice is not just sound. It's truth, it's identity, it's healing. It's the echo of everything you've walked through, everything you've overcome, and everything you believe in. But somewhere along the way, many of us were taught to quiet our voices. Maybe not in those exact words, but in 1,000 small moments of someone rolled their eyes when you spoke. Someone interrupted you mid-sentence. Someone told you that you were a too mucher or too emotional. And so you started shrinking. You started holding your words in your throat, afraid they wouldn't land, afraid they'd be rejected, afraid that no one would listen. Let me tell you what I wish someone had told me sooner. Your voice is not a luxury. It's not a bonus. It's not optional. Your voice is your birthright, and not just the polished, pretty parts, all of it. Your messy truth, your raw emotion, your unfinished thoughts, they are worthy. They are powerful. They are needed. I spent years holding back, not because I didn't have something to say, but because I doubted whether it mattered. I remember being in rooms where I felt invisible, where I had ideas but didn't speak up, where I wanted to cry out, but instead I smiled and stayed quiet. And in that silence, something inside me started to fade. But you can only mute yourself for so long before your soul starts knocking. Before your spirit starts whispering, there's more in you. And I got tired of waiting for permission. I got tired of editing myself to fit someone else's comfort. So I made a choice, one that changed everything. I decided to use my voice even if it shook, even if it wasn't perfect, even if it made other people uncomfortable. And I want that for you. I want you to speak up, not just for others, but for yourself. I want you to say the thing you've been holding back. I want you to write the post, have the conversation, share the story. Because here's the truth. Someone somewhere is waiting for your words, not someone else's version, not the filtered version. Your voice, just as it is. When you speak your truth, you set yourself free. But it doesn't stop there. Your courage gives others permission to do the same. Your story becomes a mirror for someone else's healing. Your vulnerability creates space for connection. That's the power of voice. It builds bridges. It breaks chains. It breathes life into dark places. But I know it's scary. Speaking up means being seen. It means being judged, misunderstood, maybe even rejected. But what's the cost of staying silent? What's the price of carrying words that were meant to be released? Silence might feel safe, but it will never feel fulfilling. And listen, you don't have to raise your voice to make it matter. Power isn't always loud. Sometimes it's soft and steady. Sometimes it's a whisper that says, no more. Sometimes it's simply telling your truth to yourself for the first time. That counts. That heals. Using your voice is not about having all the answers. It's about showing up in your truth. It's about choosing to be real over being perfect. It's about letting your heart be louder than your fear. You might think, oh, but what if no one listens? Listen, your job is to speak, not to control how others receive it. Speak anyway, share anyway, live in your truth anyway. Because the goal is not validation, it's liberation. And maybe you're not used to being heard. Maybe your voice has been dismissed for so long you're not even sure it matters. Let me say this clearly, it does. You matter, your perspective, your experience, your truth, it belongs. You belong. So if your voice shakes, let it. If your words come out messy, let them. Just don't silence yourself anymore. Don't abandon your own truth for the comfort of others. Don't swallow your words and then wonder why you feel unseen. Speak, declare, share, even if your voice quivers, especially then. Fear is tricky. It whispers in your ear at night. It shows up as hesitation, as procrastination, as doubt dressed in logic. Fear tells you to wait, to be careful, to shrink. It convinces you that you're not ready, not smart enough, qualified. It builds walls where there should be doors and leaves you second-guessing the very dreams you were born to pursue. But here's what fear never expects. Action. Action is the antidote to fear. When fear wants you to pause, action moves you forward. When fear says, what if you fail? Action says, let's find out. Action is how you take your power back. It's how you interrupt fear's script and rewrite it with your own. See, fear is not your enemy. It's a signal. It means you're standing at the edge of something that matters. It means you're about to grow. But the moment you let fear decide for you, it becomes a cage. It becomes the invisible fence between the life you're living and the life you want to live. And I've been there. I've been in the place where fear wrapped around my throat and told me to sit down, to stay silent, to settle. I've been the woman who talked herself out of greatness because the unknown felt too big. But I've also tasted what happens when you take one small step, even while afraid. And that's the truth right there. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's taking the next step while fear is still present. It's feeling your knees shake and walking anyway. It's showing up in the room even when your heart is pounding and your voice wants to hide. Fear thrives in your mind. It survives in your imagination. But action lives in the real world. It breaks the illusion. It shows you that fear was never the giant you thought it was. It was just a shadow. And once you move, that shadow shrinks. Do you know how many people spend their lives waiting to feel ready? Waiting for the fear to disappear before they start the business. Write the book, apply for the opportunity, speak up in the meeting, or say yes to love. But let me tell you, waiting for fear to vanish is like waiting for a storm to apologize. It's not going to happen. But you can learn to dance in the rain. You can move through the fear. Action gives you proof. It gives you momentum. And momentum is powerful because once you've done something once, you realize you can do it again. You start building a record of courage, a personal library of wins, and fear starts to lose its grip. The first time I staged to speak my truth, I was terrified. My mouth was dry. My hands were shaking. My voice cracked. But I spoke. And after I did, I realized something big. I survived. And not only that, I felt alive. That single action birthed a fire in me that fear could never extinguish again. And that's what I want for you. I want you to see that fear is not a stop sign. It's a signal to lean in, to get curious, to take one brave step. Not 10, just one. You don't have to leap across the canyon. You just have to move forward. Make the call. Press send. Sign up. Say yes. The magic is in the motion. You're not going to outthink fear. You have to outmove it. Action doesn't have to be big. It just has to be consistent. You can build a new life, a new identity, a new level of belief. One small courageous act at a time. Show up scared. Speak up uncertain. Start messy. Just start. And every time you do, you chip away at fear's control. You remind yourself, I am not a prisoner to what ifs. I am a creator of what's possible. Fear wants to keep you safe, but safety is not the same as fulfillment. Safety doesn't build legacy. Safety doesn't change lives. Safety is the enemy of growth. You don't need a padded, perfect path. You need the willingness to move through the unknown, one bold breath at a time. So what would it look like if you stopped waiting to feel fearless and started acting as if you already were? What would happen if you trusted that you don't have to have it all figured out to make the next move? Because the truth is, you won't always feel brave, but you can act brave. And the more you act brave, the more fearless you become. Let today be the day Let today be the moment you say, I'm done letting fear drive the car. Let today be the day you choose action over anxiety. Progress over perfection, faith over fear, because when you move, fear loses every time. There's a misconception in the world that success is something you need to go out and find. That there's some secret formula, some special key, or some magical connection that will unlock the door to your dreams. But let me tell you something profound. You already have everything you need to succeed. It's already within you. So often we spend our lives chasing after the next big thing, thinking we need more experience, more resources, more connections, more confidence, more skills, more luck, more everything. We look at other people's success and think, I'll never have what they have. We see them on stage, the accolades, receiving the applause, and we think if only I had what they had, I could do what they do. But that's a lie. It's an illusion designed to keep you feeling powerless. Let me tell you the truth. You were born with everything you need to succeed. You have the mind to create, the heart to lead, the soul to inspire. You have the resilience to rise, the courage to take risks, and the wisdom to navigate whatever life throws your way. The only thing standing between you and your success is the belief that you don't already have it all inside you. You see, we spend so much time focusing on what we don't have, what we haven't yet mastered, and what we think we need to do next, that we forget to tap into the power that's already within us. And I want you to hear this loud and clear. You don't need more to succeed. What you need is to tap into what's already there. You have creativity, you have passion, you have intuition, you have a deep well of potential waiting to be unleashed. Do is trust yourself and start. You have the tools, the mindset, the vision, and the hunger to create whatever you desire. And all of those things are yours right now, right where you are. I know it's easy to look at the world and think, but they've had the training, the support, the experience. And it's true, people have different journeys. But the key is that we all start with nothing. Every successful person, every leader, every influencer, every trailblazer began with nothing. But what they didn't do was wait for someone else to hand them the key to success. They took what they had, whether it was a little or a lot, and they began. Success is not about having everything handed to you. It's about using what you have right now in this moment to get started. Every single step forward, no matter how small, is a step closer to your vision. And that vision doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be yours. The success you're looking for is not in some distant future where you finally mastered it all. It's in the very act of starting. The magic is in the doing. You have already been equipped with everything you need to start right where you are. If you want to build a business, you have the ideas. You have the creativity. You have the determination. You have the drive. If you want to speak on a stage, you have the message that only you can deliver. If you want to write, you have the stories and insights that the world is waiting for. The only thing holding you back is the belief that you need more than you already have. And I get it. Sometimes it feels like the world is telling you you're not enough. You don't have the right degrees. You don't have the right connections. You don't have the perfect circumstances. But here's the truth. The world doesn't need your perfection. It needs your authenticity. It needs the unique brilliance only you can offer. It needs your perspective, your story, your journey. The world is waiting for you to show up as the fully realized version of you, not the version of you that's hiding behind excuses. And here's the beautiful thing. Once you make the decision to step into who you're meant to be, the universe starts aligning with you. Opportunities start showing up. People who support your vision begin to cross your path. Your energy shifts and the world responds. But none of that happens until you take the first step and trust that you have what it takes. The secret to success is not in finding the perfect conditions or waiting for the right time. It's in trusting yourself enough to take action, even when it feels uncertain, even when fear shows up, even when you don't have all the answers. It's in using what you have right now, whether it's a small idea, a bit of knowledge, a single connection, and moving forward with it. You have resilience in you. You've made it this far, haven't you? You've been through challenges, you've been knocked down, and you've gotten back up. That resilience is not just something you've endured. It's a gift. It's the strength that will carry you through the hardest times. It's the muscle that grows stronger the more you use it. And when you combine that resilience with the power of your unique voice, your authenticity, and your passion, there's no limit to what you can accomplish. There's a simple truth that can transform everything for you if you let it. Persistence is the key that unlocks doors you didn't even know were possible to open. You see, the path to success is rarely a straight line. It's not some easy, effortless walk where every step feels perfect. No, The path to greatness is often filled with obstacles, challenges, setbacks, and moments when you feel like giving up. It's in these moments that persistence becomes your greatest ally. We live in a world that glorifies instant success, instant gratification, and immediate results. We see people achieving great things seemingly overnight, and it can make us feel like we're falling behind. But the truth is, most of the time, success is not an overnight phenomenon. It's a journey that is built step by step, brick by brick, decision by decision. The real power behind success is not talent. It's not luck. It's persistence. It's the ability to keep going when everything within you says to stop. It's the strength to get back up after every fall, to keep moving forward despite the uncertainty, to believe that every setback is just another lesson on the road to greatness. Persistence is the force that makes the impossible seem possible. It's the reason why some people achieve what others deem unachievable. And here's the truth. You don't need to be the smartest, the most talented, or the most connected to succeed. You just need to keep going when everyone else stops. You just need to be willing to stay in the game when the going gets tough, when the results aren't immediate, when the road is hard, and when the critics get louder. Think about the greats. Think about the people who've changed the world, the innovators, the leaders, the trailblazers. They weren't immune to failure. They weren't exempt from hardship. They didn't achieve success because they had some special gift. It was because they refused to quit. They knew that every no they faced brought them one step closer to a yes. They understood that failure wasn't a reflection of their worth, but rather a stepping stone toward their ultimate success. One of the most powerful examples of persistence is Thomas Edison. Do you know how many times he failed before successfully inventing the light bulb? Over 1,000 times. And when asked about his many failures, he didn't see them as failures at all. He saw them as steps in the process. He said, "I have not failed. I've just found 1,000 ways that won't work." That's the kind of mindset that persistence gives you, the ability to see setbacks as part of the journey, not the end of the road. And let me be clear, persistence doesn't mean being stubborn or refusing to adapt. It doesn't mean blindly pushing forward when you're headed in the wrong direction. Persistence means sticking with something when the path gets hard, when you're not seeing results yet, and when the world is telling you to quit. It means having the courage to course correct when necessary, but always with the understanding that giving up is never the answer. Persistence is about resilience. It's about getting up after every fall and doing it again, this time with more wisdom, more strength, and more commitment than before. It's about believing in yourself even when you can't see the finish line. And let me tell you, there will be moments when you want to quit. There will be times when the obstacles feel insurmountable, when doubt creeps in, when you feel like no one sees your effort. But it's precisely in those moments that persistence becomes your superpower. It's your ability to push forward when it seems like nothing is happening, knowing deep down that the breakthrough is just around the corner. Have you ever noticed how some of the most successful people in the world didn't quit when others would have? They were knocked down, they were laughed at, they were told it wasn't possible, and yet they kept going. Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first television job because they told her she wasn't a fit for TV. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. JK. Rowling was rejected by multiple publishers before Harry Potter was ever published. And yet they persisted. They kept going, and in doing so, they changed the world. Persistence is the muscle you build through every setback. It's a quality that gets stronger the more you use it. And guess what? Every time you face an obstacle and decide not to give up, you are developing a habit of persistence. Each small victory over doubt, each step forward despite the challenges, makes you stronger, more confident, and more certain of your purpose. When you decide to be persistent, you are making a conscious choice to stay in the race. You are refusing to let fear, doubt, or temporary setbacks define your future. You are telling yourself, I am capable of more than this. I am worthy of my dreams. I am going to keep going until I make them a reality. Persistence doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean doing everything flawlessly. It means trying again, learning from the mistakes, and always moving forward, no matter how many times you've been knocked down. It means showing up every day, even when the odds are stacked against you. It means putting in the effort when it feels like the world is moving faster than you. But persistence is not just about working hard. It's about working smart. It's about knowing that sometimes the hardest part is not physical effort, but mental perseverance. It's about having the mental toughness to stay focused on your vision, even when the results aren't immediate, and continuing to show up when it feels like no one is watching. So if you're in a season of struggle right now, if you feel like you're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back, I want you to remember this. Persistence works. Your consistent effort, your determination, your resilience, it all adds up. Every day that you show up, no matter how small the progress, you are building a foundation for success. Don't underestimate the power of persistence. It's the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. And when you commit to it, when you choose to persist no matter what, you'll be amazed at what you can achieve.